This video talks about the exterior angle theorem. So the exterior angle theorem basically says the measure of an exterior angle of a triangle, exterior meaning it is on the outside, it is not on the inside of the triangle. The measure of an angle on the outside of the triangle is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. And what that means is it's equal to the sum of the two inside angles that are not touching it. So if I were to draw a quick picture, okay, this is my exterior angle right here. Hopefully you can see that. And this would be a remote angle and this one because they are not touching it. Do you see how this one touches that angle? That is not a remote angle. So it tells me the sum of this angle and this angle should equal that outside angle. So we're going to put that idea into practice. So I have a few example problems right here that we can look at. Zoom in a little bit for you guys. Okay, so in this first one, it says use the exterior angle theorem to determine each unknown angle. So I'm trying to find this out here, right? And I know that the sum of the two angles that aren't touching it adds to it. So I'm just going to take 21 plus 132, and that should tell me what x is. If I add 21 to 132, it gives me 153 equals x. So this outside angle right here is 153 degrees. And that actually makes sense because it is an obtuse angle. It's a very big angle, right? So 153 degrees makes sense. Okay, now I'm going to look at B. So my exterior angle, is right here. So it is 143, okay? And it should be the sum of my two inside angles. And my two inside angles that are not touching it, the remote angles, are 16 and x. So 16 plus x should tell me what 143 is. And I'm just going to solve this like a one-step equation. I want the x by itself, so I am going to subtract 16 from both sides, okay? And that would leave me with just x on this side, and then whatever 143 minus 16 is. I just did it on a calculator and it told me it equals 127. So my angle right here would be 127 degrees. And again, it is an obtuse angle, so that kind of makes sense that it would be 127. And I found that by saying the exterior angle should equal the sum of the two angles inside that do not touch it. So that is x and 16. So I said 16 plus x equals 143, and I solved it like a one-step equation. Okay, I'm going to look at this last problem down here. So I have my exterior angle, which is 93, right? And it should equal the sum of the two interior angles that are that are remote or non-adjacent. They are not touching it. So x and 31. X plus 31 should equal 93. Again, I will solve this like a one-step equation. I'm going to subtract 31 from both sides, which leaves me with x equals 62 degrees, I believe. So I'm saying x up here is 62. And that also makes sense. This is less than 90 degrees, and 62 is definitely less than 90. So that kind of makes sense. Okay. Then it gives you a little bit of a kind of challenge problem per se, I guess. A couple challenge problems. So we're going to look at these. First thing is I'm going to identify my exterior angle. My exterior angle is 156. 156 should be the sum of my two interior angles that are non-adjacent. So I could write this as 108 plus x equals 156, right? The sum of those two should tell me this one. Okay, I'm going to solve it like a one-step equation. Subtract 108 from both sides, and it would leave me with x equals 156 minus 108. It looks like 48. So I'm saying x over here equals 48 degrees, which makes sense. It's a smaller angle. It's definitely acute. Okay, here's where it might get a little bit harder. So first thing, identify my exterior angle. My exterior angle is the one outside, so I can tell it's 152 in this case. And it should be the sum of the two angles inside that are not touching it. So this one right here is touching it, so it can't be that one. So it has to be these two. So it tells me that x plus x should equal 152. And I'm going to simplify. X plus x would just give me 2x, right? I could put a 1 right there if I wanted. 1x plus 1x equals 2x. And 2x should equal 152. I am again going to solve this as a one-step equation. Because these are being multiplied, I do the opposite. I divide. So I divide both sides by 2. And that is going to tell me that x equals 152 divided by 2, which in this case would be 76. So both of these angles are 76 degrees. I think that works because they're less than 90, so that looks about right, but they're kind of bigger. All right, I'm going to try this one down here. So now I have my exterior angle. My exterior angle is the one outside, right here, 120. So the sum of my two inside angles that are not touching, my remote interior angles, should equal that. Oops, sorry guys, I don't mean to keep moving the paper. So I'm just going to solve it. 2x plus 3x should equal 120, right? 2x plus 3x gives me 5x. So now I have 5x is equal to 120. All I want to do is divide both sides by 5 because 5 and x are being multiplied. The opposite is division. So divide both sides by 5. That tells me that x equals 24. Okay, now I'm not done. I want to find my angle measure. So if x equals 24, to find this angle, I need to times x by 2. So 24 times 2 would be 48. So this angle is 48. And to find this angle, I need to times x by 3. 24 times 3 is 72. So this angle over here would be 72. Again, I just took 24 and I plugged it in for x because I know that x equals 24. Okay, and we're going to try D over here. So first off, I need to identify my exterior angle, which is 126. The two inside angles that are not touching it are this one and this one. So I'm going to take the values of both of those, the sum, and it should set it equal to 126 because the sum should equal 126. So x plus 2x plus 6 equals 126. I'm going to combine like terms on this side. 1x plus 2x gives me 3x plus 6 equals 126. So I'm going to start by getting rid of this 6 right here. I do the opposite, which is subtract 6 from both sides. So that leaves me with 3x equals 123. And from there, I'm going to do the opposite. Again, they're being multiplied, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And that tells me that x equals 41. Now, right here is just x alone. So this angle is 41 degrees. But this one up here is 2x plus 6. So I'm going to plug in 41 in place of x. So I'm going to do that on my calculator. 41 times 2 is 82. And to add 6 onto it would give me 88. So this measure up here is 88 degrees. Okay, again, this explains the exterior angle theorem, which tells me that the measure of an exterior angle of a triangle, that means an outside angle of a triangle, is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles, or the two angles inside that are not touching it.